Hello, Ravenar here. Today we are going to review the newest Heroes of the Storm patch, patch 5.3.2. Overall, I feel like this patch was nothing real significant other than a couple of heroes, but we'll go over it anyway. So you guys will have to bear with me. Um, so we're going to start with Diablo. I feel like his level 1 took a pretty big hit. So it went from 4% to 2.5%, but it does heal immediately. It is my understanding from reading the talent myself that it's only the first tick that heals immediately, not the whole heal. So this is a pretty big hit to Feast on Fear. I believe they're trying to make the W build a little bit more powerful, at least in Storm League. I know the auto attack build in Diablo is pretty strong, so they're trying to draw that back a little bit. This nerf is, I believe, to be pretty substantial for Diablo, so we'll have to see as things go. Sacrifice Soul, it does less armor now. It gives you less armor. So I would say that this is a pretty big nerf as well, as, it seems to be the trend for Diablo. And Life Leech passive, less healing. So overall, auto attack build for Diablo seemed to take a pretty significant hit. And they did buff W build a little bit, it seems, for the 13 and 16, which I believe is going to be what they're going for. So overall, I think the Diablo changes are probably more of a nerf than a buff, but if you like to play W build, you're probably going to be overall pretty happy with the changes. But if you enjoy auto attack build, not so much. So let's go on to Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis, I actually don't play, so my opinion on it is kind of based on what other people say. I believe that this is a pretty good buff for him, at least at lower ranks. So he got a decent health increase, and increased health regeneration and basic attack damage. Basically, they buffed everything about his base kit, which at lower ranks is going to be pretty good. Mal'Ganis is still going to suffer from the same downside of being very susceptible to stun, which at higher ranks is obviously going to be a lot easier for a team to cycle their stuns and kill him. Um, Time to feed adjusted, heals for 70. I'm not 100% sure what it was before, but I'm assuming additional functionality isn't going to be bad. So buff here, health increase from 11 to 12, damage increase. It just seems like they're buffing him all across the board. Will of Tichondrius, additional stun, his Q stun, so that's going to be pretty strong. His damage increase from his E. Blood Rush, duration reduced from 8 to 6. That could be a slight nerf. Again, I don't play him, so I'm just going off of what I read. And Frenzy, don't really know much about that, but I do know Blind as a Bat is a very popular talent. They reduced the cooldown on that, which is actually pretty substantial in my opinion. Overall, I think Mal'Ganis got a major buff. They didn't really change anything about his kit in terms of what he was weak against before, but I think he will see a lot more play, and I think he is going to be a lot stronger overall. So Mal'Ganis players going to be happy about this. Muradin, one of my personal favorite tanks, seemed to get a bit of a nerf. Perfect Storm, my go-to talent, took a bit of a nerf. Block charges no longer have a duration. That's going to be a buff. Thunderburn damage increased from 50% to 75%. I feel like the damage on Thunderburn isn't really why you pick it. You pick it to combo with healing static later on and to do the slow. I feel like the damage is pretty uneventful here, so doesn't really matter in my opinion what the damage is. Avatar nerf on health. I feel like, obviously it is a nerf, but I feel like Avatar will still be the pick here. You should never go Haymaker unless, you have a sort of team or comp based around it. Avatar is, in my opinion, still going to be the pick here. Bronzebeard Rage, deal 15 damage per second, healing for 75% damage dealt. Additional functionality. I'm not sure what part of this is actually additional, but I feel like you don't go this. You're going to go healing static or um, another talent which I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, If I'm able to, I will probably add it to this video on what you should actually take. Dwarf launch cooldown reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. This is actually pretty substantial because his E, especially if you go the slow, if you go heavy impact, is going to be pretty substantial in my opinion. Overall, nerf on Muradin, but I don't think it's going to change anything really in terms of how viable he is. He's just a beefy tank before. He's going to be a beefy tank now. So overall, Muradin changes not really going to be that much of an issue in my opinion. So if you pick Muradin before, still pick him now. Tyrael. So there is a, as of this writing, or as of this recording, there is a bug with Tyrael. I'll briefly touch on it for people who want to know what the bug is. I hope by the time you hear this video, the bug is most likely fixed. But the bug is currently that when he explodes, he will get CDR exploding on any sort of minions. It's supposed to be just heroes, but there's a bug and he's getting CDR on minions. Hopefully that gets fixed very soon, but since people like to ask me what it is, we're just going to touch on that right away. I will not be basing my opinion on Tyrael based on a bug, so keep that in mind. Overall, his trait, they did buff things about his trait, which is interesting to me. I feel like that's going to get the wrong impression, but I'll touch on that after I read it. Duration increased from 3.5 to 4 seconds. Damage reduced 550 to 450. Movement speed increased 20%. Increased functionality. Enemies within his radius deal 50% less damage. Enemies hit by him deal 50% less damage for 3 seconds. So overall, these changes are good. They make it so enemies caught in his radius after he dies take less damage, and then if he explodes on them, less damage for 3 seconds. Movement speed is good. The problem that I have with this is that it encourages you to feed on Tyrael, and I don't like that. It should be more of a conditional, like with Uther, where you have a backup if you die. Not, I feel like this is going to encourage you to die, and I don't like that. But we'll see. Tyrael's been kind of out of the mix for a bit, so let's look at these other talents. Again, I don't play Tyrael, so I'm going to be solely going off of this and not really personal experience. Shield bonus, I know his W is a shield. Shield bonus for allies increased from 75 to 80. Not very substantial in my opinion. Additional functionality, every globe quest collected increased the heal over time by 1%. That does seem like it could be pretty good, so adding a globe quest is probably going to be the go-to at the level 1, I imagine. At least for some flavor if he did have another one. Q, which I know is his swipe, which I think is the speed boost if you go through it at times. Armor duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. Bound by law, Q no longer increases the slow. Increased functionality, every enemy hero hit by Eldrin's Might heals Tyrael for 3% of his maximum health. That seems pretty good in my opinion. So overall, good change here. Basic attacks heal decreased from 75 to 70%. Shield expiration damage increased from 170 to 190. It just seems to be slight number changes. Nothing really too substantial in my opinion. Sanctification cooldown decrease, that's actually pretty big. Sank is one of the reasons you do pick Tyrael. So I actually think that's probably pretty good. Overall, reading this, I don't think there's going to be a big change in Tyrael. Once the bug's fixed, I don't think there's going to be any reason to pick Tyrael outside of the reasons that you would pick him before. So overall, not very substantial in my opinion. But, I mean, tank players, tell me I'm wrong. Artanis has always been a weird hero. He doesn't really have much of a place in the meta outside of specific maps, BOE, Garden of Terror, things that I think you kind of go around picking amateur opponent at 1. His ding quest at level 1 isn't really that great in my opinion. It takes so long to be substantial. Reactive parry, not great. I don't play Artanis, but I know enough about him. I feel like to have that. So Q, they just increased his damage. His talents are pretty unsubstantial in terms of their changes. Duration increased on his E, 3 to 5 seconds on his level 4 talent. Damage increased 150 to 175 on his Q. And at 13, his swap reduction increased from 1.75 to 2 seconds. Number tweaks, in my opinion, I don't think Artanis is really going to be getting any more play off of these changes. My opinion on Artanis is, you pick him on specific times that you would pick him. If you picked him before, you'll pick him now. In my opinion, you pick him on BOE. You pick him on maps that you can abuse taking camps. Otherwise, you shouldn't pick him at all. In my opinion, at least. And I do want to state this is my opinion. This is not, obviously, everyone's opinion. Hogger, I feel like, is really powerful. They reduced the damage of his Hog Wild by a little bit and one of his talents. I feel like they could have done more to nerf Hogger. I feel like Hogger is really strong right now. While I don't feel like he's too strong, I feel like they could have done to pull him back a little bit. But, I mean, he's a new hero, so that's probably why they don't want to do that. Overall, Hogger, not much change here. I don't think he's going to see any less play. I don't think he's going to get banned any less. So, not much difference in Hogger. Ragnaros, on the other hand, this is an interesting one. So it seems like they're trying to buff his Q build. I felt like his Q build really wasn't that weak. I felt like all of Rag's builds were pretty competitive with each other. The main issue I have is I don't think Rag as a hero is that good because, he's a bit on the squishy side. I think if they were going to do anything to him, they needed to give him more health. But we'll go over what they're doing. They reduced the amount of minions he needed for his quest, and increased the damage too, which is good. Obviously it's going to be good. It's no reason it's bad. If Empowered Sulfuria hits 2 heroes, refund 10 mana, recharge faster, so he gets more Qs essentially, and the healing increased at 13. So overall, Q build did get stronger. I'm going to imagine that Q build is probably going to be the pick now. Like I said before, I feel like they were pretty close before, so I feel like just buffing Q build is going to make it stronger. And then they did buff meteor damage at 16. W build, like I said, was all right before. I think the main thing with Rag is going to be he's still going to be a squishy bruiser that you could pretty easily blow up. He's still going to get picked for Lava Wave on maps like Braxis, Garden of Terror, big maps like that. Overall, Q build is a nice change, and we'll have to see how substantial it is. I feel like that's going to be the only build to go now. But overall, I feel like Rag is still in a similar spot that he was before. All right, Alextrasza, I feel like, is a healer that needed some love, so we'll see what they did to her. Live and Let Live, Q, Gift of Life cooldown recharge increased from 100 to 125. Circle, globes required for unlocking second tier quests reduced from 20 to 15. That's actually pretty good. Life Blossom, additional functionality, reduce the cost of Gift of Life to 10% maximum health. And Dragon Queen, bonus, reduced from 7 to 6 seconds. So, seems like it's a bit of a buff, but I feel like it's not really going to be enough. They slightly buffed her Q build, but I feel like W build and E build are still the more popular. E build's a bit of a meme, I think. It does kind of base around getting your trait off more, your Dragon Queen, but I believe that, W build is still going to be the main build. So overall, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot for Alex. Q build is a little bit stronger. That does let you play her a little bit safer and maybe not rely on your Ws as much. But overall, I think that Q build is still going to be, W build is still going to be the pick here. Now, Lili, on the other hand, I know from personal experience, this is a significant buff for Lili. Which I feel like Lili has been needing something like this for a very long time. So Blinding Wind E, additional functionality, slow enemies by 15% for 1.5 seconds. If this is all they did, it would be still considered a buff, but it's not all they did. So her level 1, W, moved from level 4. New functionality, Cloud Serpent no longer costs mana while Fast Feet is active, and the cooldown refreshes at 75% faster. Overall, I feel like that's going to be good. Move from level 1. New functionality, Cloud Serpent grants its bearer 10% increased movement speed. Casting Blinding Wind increases this bonus to 20%. Passive Cloud Serpent attacks 25% faster. That's actually pretty good. This one, activate to gain Fast Feet. 30 armor, 30 movement speed, 3 seconds. Passive while fast feet is active, gain 10 armor. That's actually pretty good as well. Cooldown increase from 25 to 30 seconds. That might be substantial if you're used to picking this, but if you're not, it's not going to make a difference in my opinion. Overall buffs here. Mass Vortex moved from 13, which I actually don't remember what that is. I think that's the double blind, in which case that's really strong on level 7. Let's go healing amount increase from 140 to 160, just a healing buff, which obviously nothing wrong with that. Water Dragon, so this is interesting to me. Cooldown increase from 45 to 50 seconds. Mana cost increase from 50 to 60. So I actually don't think that Water Dragon needed a nerf. So it's interesting to me that they would nerf Water Dragon here when Jugs is the obvious pick most of the time. So I feel like this is an unnecessary change, but it's not really that substantial of a change. Maybe they felt like 45 seconds was too short, but overall, Water Dragon is Water Dragon. It's an alright talent, but it doesn't really live up to the heal unless you're double support. Lightning Serpent moved from 7. Bouncing attacks no longer require heroic targets. So that's just changing that. Basic attack bonus damage increased from 75 to 100. So basically her blind will do more damage. New functionality, increased slow amount to 30% its duration to 2 seconds. I'm going to guess that this is still going to be the pick. Increased slow duration's pretty strong. I believe the slow is 15 normal, so you're doubling the slow duration. 30%'s pretty good slow for anything that doesn't have a mobility tool. So you hit a Rainer with that, something like that, that's going to be a pretty big slow to hit. And as a lot of you know, getting chased down by Lili is probably not going to be too fun, and it's not going to get much better for you. Overall, Blessing of Yulon, new functionality, Cloud Serpent grants its bearer 10% increase healing received and heals them for 0.5% of their maximum health each time it attacks. So this is percent-based healing. So Lili has percent healing now. This is actually potentially going to be pretty strong if you use her. I don't think she'll get picked for like Cho'Gall comps, stuff like that, but having her as a double support on maybe a triple bruiser or double bruiser, double like beefy frontline might be pretty good. So this is an interesting talent. So we'll have to kind of see where this is. It does seem pretty good, but it seems like one of those where if you're picking Lili as solo support with like Cho'Gall or something, you're going to end up struggling to get to this point anyway because she doesn't heal that much naturally. So it's kind of like if you get there, it's good, but you got to get there first sort of scenarios. Level 20, Shake It Off, new functionality, gain 35 armor, all stun, silence rooted, passive increase fast feet, cooldown refresh, bonus by 75%. Pretty good, but I'm pretty sure alt upgrade for both of them are still going to be the pick here, so this to me doesn't really matter. Double Dragon is why you pick Water Dragon, and obviously Jugs upgrade are going to be better. Overall, Lili, big buff here in my opinion. Serpent build is really strong now, and I believe Serpent build was really what I would go for with Lili. I'd usually pick her if we had like a Butcher or something I wanted to blind. So for me, it's a lot better. I think Serpent build's going to probably be the meta build now for Lili. But, you know, only time will tell on that. Lucio, slight buff. They did buff High Five in the last patch, slash rework it a little bit. This is just more buff. Movement speed while skating to the target increase by 25%. Let's go. I like that. Overall, it's just it triggers faster. Nothing wrong with that. And overall, I feel like High Five is actually almost making a play to, you know, be competitive to Sound Barrier, which is really nice for Lucio to finally have 2 alts. I guess, you know, opinions on people that actually play Lucio in more competitive scene, but overall, that's not bad. To me, I think that's really good. Malfurion, they just kind of moved his talents around a little bit and got rid of one of his talents. So you get the stacking talent at level 1 now, which I think is pretty good. But you also get, so what is this? Entangling Root sleeps enemies for 2 seconds after its root expires. This is going to be better at higher ranks. So once the root expires, they fall asleep. That's actually pretty big. Like, think Anna Sleep Dart. Imagine if a team can play around that. That's going to be massive. And it's a level 1 talent. So think Anna Sleep Dart, but maybe easier to land because you play it off root. They just have to not be woken up. So that seems pretty strong to me. Enemies, hitting enemy heroes with Entangling Root permanently grants 10 mana. Not bad. Wait, what did I? Yeah, 10 mana. I don't think that's super bad, but not super good either. Gaining extra charge of Innervate, that does seem pretty good. Slow duration, 2 to 3 seconds. Malfurion, I believe, might see a little bit more play, but his main advantage is going to be his level 1 buff. So I have a feeling Malfurion's going to just, his early game's a little stronger, everything else is going to be the same. So overall, I don't think he's going to be that good. Maybe on snowballing maps like Braxis, you can make a play for that, but overall, not a big change for Malfurion in terms of overall layout of the map, in my opinion, at least, or the game, in my opinion. Whitemane, I haven't actually read yet, so we'll read it together. Attack speed bonus increased from 25 to 40%. Attack speed duration reduced from 4 to 3%. Doesn't seem that substantial. Attack speed bonus, like, doesn't seem that good. Q, attack damage bonus 15 to 20. Heal increase from 25 to 250 to 300. That doesn't seem too bad. The Scarlet Aegis, so her ult is pretty strong. It's stronger now, and I felt like this ult is pretty strong before, so making it even stronger doesn't hurt. Duration increased from 0.5 to 0.75, and armor gain increased from 10 to 15. Overall, I feel like she is going to be a little bit, maybe picked a little bit more. They did buff her a little bit, but overall, Whitemane has her purpose in comps, and that's to stop consistent damage. She does that really well, and she's going to do that even better now. So I feel like it's going to be a situation where if you picked her before, you'll pick her again. She's just going to be more effective. So overall, good change to Whitemane. We'll just have to see what happens from there. Illidan, all level 4 talents moved to level 7. All of his level 7 talents moved to level 4. I have zero opinion on this because I don't play Illidan. And since it doesn't actually tell me what the talents are, we're just going to kind of skip by it. Unbound hits for quest completion reduced from 30 to 15. The only thing I can say is, cutting it in half can't be good. We don't mind when Illidan players prefer to shy away from team fights earlier in the game, but we want to make sure it's not the only option. We're swapping his healing talent with his mobility tier to help achieve this. So they want to keep him in the team fights. Chromie, which is one of my personal favorites, who I've played, and I can tell you my opinion on this once I read it. Health reduced from 500 to 400. Not a big deal since you shouldn't be getting hit anyway. Her Q quest, they did make increase the mimic damage from 40 to 45. You don't really feel that. I can tell you that. The reveal duration increased from 2 to 4 seconds. Spell power reduced from 15 to 10. This seemed like it was going to be a lot, but from personal experience, I don't really notice it. Enemy armor 20 to 15. Ally armor increased from 20 to 30. Same deal here. Don't really notice the difference. Level 5, increased damage reduced from 25 to 20. Duration reduced from 5 to 3. Same deal. They're all nerfs, obviously, but they're nothing that you really notice. Slowing Sands, now this is the one that I did notice. The cast range. So those of you who play Chromie will probably agree with this. The cast range is huge. There are a lot of situations where you drop Slowing Sands on stuff and you notice immediately that you have to walk closer. I have a feeling once I get used to the adjustment, it won't matter, but I definitely noticed the cast range. The mana cost increase, not a big deal, but the cast range is something I did notice. Armor reduction increased from 7 to 10. I don't take this anyway. Generally, I go Pierce on Q or double loop if I take time loop. Overall, obvious nerf to Chromie. She's still really strong in my opinion. Like I said, the only real noticeability that I had was noticeability. That's not a word. Only thing I noticed was the Slowing Sands change. Everything else, she still really felt just as strong as ever. So overall, Chromie's still really good in my opinion. If you picked her before, should still pick her now. Falstad, now again, there is a bug with Falstad, which just like the other one, I will tell you, but I will not be basing my opinion on that. The bug is his W quest stacks off everything instead of just heroes like it's supposed to. Obviously, that's pretty strong. Hopefully, by the time this video gets to you, that will be fixed, but you know, people ask me what it is, so I want to tell you guys what it is. But again, I will not be basing my opinion on Falstad based on the bug. But here we go. So Hammerang damage reduced from 121 to 80. This is actually pretty huge, a pretty big nerf in that. But the additional functionality is they added his level 7 talent that it can explode baseline. Now this is actually kind of makes up for it a little bit. So now you, instead of you just doing damage with it, to really get full value out of the Q, you're going to be counting on the fact that you're going to be hitting these explosions. If you hit the explosions, that's a Q buff. If you're missing them, it's a Q nerf. Additional functionality, Lightning Round deals 100% additional damage to minions and mercenaries. So basically, he can take camps a lot easier. Since they did remove his bribe, having this is actually pretty good. Now, we'll have to see how good he can actually be, but you know, taking bosses and stuff is pretty strong. One thing I did realize, it does not work on monsters, similar to like Vala Q Quest. So he's not like a racing hero, but he does take camps a lot easier to make up for the fact that they removed Wingman, they removed Season's Marksman. They did kind of give him Season's Marksman and a different thing, but we'll get into that. So Gathering Storm damage bonus per stack changed from 2 to 0.0 or to 0.2%. I feel like this is going to be good scaling later. I don't know for sure yet, so people who are better with numbers maybe can correct that. To me, the percentage is going to scale more into late game. So if you take this, I believe it is better. Mana refund reduced, I feel like that doesn't matter. Quest progression gained from Hammerang Explosion, which I think is really good. So his new W quest, reduced lightning rod cooldown by 3 seconds, and takedowns reset it. I think that's really strong. After 3 subsequent strikes on enemy heroes, increase its damage by 1% up to 75. Now that's pretty strong. So W build before, a lot of times you did take it for the wingman, for the bribe, but overall this is really good in my opinion. And then this one, Frequent Flyer, is kind of the season marksman replacement. You gain 40% attack speed and tailwind for 5 seconds, and Minion Grant gives you additional. I feel like this is actually going to be pretty strong. So if you took him to be your team's auto attacker, he's going to be stronger in that aspect. The thing I like about Falstad is all of these talents give him different. He fills different roles. You pick this, he fills your auto attacker role. You pick this, he fills your mage role, and he can do this and fill either your mage role or your solo lane role. So I think that overall these are all really strong. Whether or not one is stronger than the other, too early to tell. But overall, these are really good. So Boomerang, this used to be the explosion. Now the explosion deals 75% additional damage, reduces spell armor by enemy heroes hit. So this is actually better. This is really good. So if you go Q build, obviously you go this and you do even more damage. Giant Killer remove, so no more percent damage. New talent, sustain wins, basic attack against enemy heroes, deal bonus damage equal to 1.5 of the enemy's maximum health, increased to 2 while tailwind is active. So he gets percent damage on auto attacks now, it seems to be. You'd probably take this if you went auto attack at level 1. But if you don't, I have a feeling that this isn't really going to be that good because you're not going to be attacking quick enough to get value off this. But you know, if you go auto attack at 1, then this is probably going to be a pretty strong talent. Crippling Hammer, slow reduced from 35 to 25. Hammerang Explosion also slows. So they reduced the slow, but they made it so the explosion slows. Overall, Falstad buff, in my opinion. I feel like the fact that you can pick him for multiple roles is really strong. You can pick him early and draft around that later. Bug aside, obviously, which hopefully gets fixed very soon, a really good rework a really good change for Falstad. And I think just overall, he's in a lot better spot than he was before. Fenix, new functionality every 10 seconds, your next basic attack with Phase Bomb activate, slow targets by 60%, rapidly decaying over 1.5 seconds. Massive slow is going to be really good, so that's actually pretty good, especially for a level 4. Given the fact that you're going to be, launching them, I guess, every 10 seconds. Overall, not bad. Dampening field, spell armor increased from 25 to 30. And that, increased spell armor, never a bad thing. Damage bonus increased. Basic attacks, per hero hit. And then his beam. Overall, nothing big seems to change to Fenix. Fenix, I think, needs more base health to be viable. He's not in a great spot right now. So I don't think that this really did anything to bring him into it. He does a little bit more damage, has a little bit more spell armor, but not really enough to really do anything, in my opinion. The Mephisto change, I tried out Q. I'm not great with it, but I have a feeling that this Q build, I did feel the change in the Q. It launches quicker and the missile flies faster. So basically your Qs hit faster now. His second tier quest rewards an additional charge of Skull Missile. Nothing wrong with that. Armor increased from 20 to 25. Skull Missile deals 40% more damage to heroes under 50% health. So it kind of has a execute sort of thing. Overall, they buffed Q build. I feel like W build might still be the pick anyway, because you still get the Q buff anyway. Overall, no change in my opinion to Mephisto. You should probably still be going W build. I feel like Q build is not that strong, but that's just my opinion. Tracer, Pulse Bomb charge generation reduced from 612 to 510. Doesn't seem that big of a difference to me. Target damage increase, so they slightly buffed the damage, and the AoE slightly buffed. Slight buff to Pulse Bomb, but it seems so small that you won't really notice it. So that's interesting. This seems like they did a bit of change to her. Number of bombs increased from 3 to 6. So this is when she E's, she drops bombs, similar to Junkrat. Pulse Bomb charge increased from 5 to 7%. Damage reduced from 250 to 240. Heroes hit by bombs are also slowed by 60% for 0.75 seconds. Overall, not a big deal here. Nothing, doesn't really seem that bad. You're not really going to be standing in the bombs if Tracer E's. She tends to never E when she's on top of someone. It's usually to avoid something, so I feel like this isn't that good. Leeching Round, new functionality, increase the healing for basic attacks by up to 200% increase based on Tracer's missing health. This actually seems pretty good. Not that she has a whole lot of health to begin with, but, more healing. New functionality on Is That a Health Pack? Collecting a regen globe instantly heals Tracer for 10% of her maximum health and reduces the cooldown of healing by 15 seconds. That's actually really good. Drinking from a healing fountain instantly heals Tracer for 20% of her maximum health. That's actually pretty good too. So overall, this is actually a pretty good talent if you're on a map that has a lot of globes. So overall, big buff here. Untouchable, maximum damage bonus reduced from 30 to 25. Speed, duration reduced from 2 to 1.5. Not much of a change there in my opinion. Jump, cooldown increased from 125 to 150. Shield amount increased from 6 to 8. That seems pretty good. And then E, cooldown reduction, damage increase. So that's not much of a difference in my opinion. I feel like becoming unkillable is pretty good. Which is actually, so I'm going to change my opinion. Becoming unkillable on level 13 is actually going to be pretty good, considering people kind of judge where you're going to land. So anyway, overall, I feel like this patch is not that substantial. Obviously, there are a few in here, like Hogger, I feel like could have done for more nerfs. The main big ones were Falstad and Diablo, I think, are the ones that took the biggest hit. Everything else, not a big issue here. So overall, I think it's a not substantial not a huge patch as going to change the landscape of the game. But overall, a couple of heroes might see more play, a couple of heroes might see less play. But overall, I liked it though. So anyway, that's going to be it for me. I want to remind everyone that I do stream on Twitch. I will post a link below this video if I figure out how. And also will be a link to my Twitch stream below in the description. So anyway, if you did like this video, make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification button. But most importantly, hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time.